welcome back to my channel. If you watched last week's video, you know that I hinted at this week's video being a little bit different. And I kind of teased you with that. And this week and next week, I'm gonna have a short little series. They're going to go together. So what we're gonna be talking about are still picture books. We're gonna be talking about books that were turned into movies or television shows. Now, this is a little out of my comfort zone because if you know me, I love books. I will talk about books all day long, but I don't like to watch TV. I know, I don't like to watch movies. I very rarely watch TV shows. It's just not something that I enjoy. And I am always in the belief of the book is better. So I'm going to share with you today some books that were turned into movies, but I'm going to warn you that I haven't seen very many of the videos or the movies that I'm going to share with you today. So take this with a grain of salt. I can't give you any review of the movie. I can tell you all about the books because I love the books, but you'll have to watch the movies on your own. I think sometimes it's really fun to incorporate the movie into your classroom, to read the book together first, then watch the movie, and you can kind of compare because a lot of times they're very different. You can talk with your students about what was different, what was the same, what did they leave out, and kind of talk about what they were thinking was going to happen in the movie and how it was different than what they expected. And next week, so this week it's picture books that are turned into movies. Next week I'll have chapter books like for upper elementary that were turned into movies. And you can really expand this conversation with the older kids as well, because a lot can be left out in the chapter books. And then the opposite is kind of what happens with the picture books is they add so much more to the movie to make it long enough, make it bigger than the actual book. So I think it's really cool to read the book with your students and then watch the movie with them and be able to compare and contrast them and really have that conversation with your kids. So that's why I thought this would be a fun short series to do. Again, haven't seen any of the movies, but I bet many of you have. And if you have any that I didn't talk about today, tell me in the comments below what book movie pairing you've seen that you've either really liked or really didn't like. Because a lot of times we don't like the movie after we've read the book. But anyways, let's get into those books that were turned into movies. First up is one of my absolute favorite books, and I don't know why I didn't include it in my favorite books video that I talked about a couple weeks ago, but we'll get back to that. Anyway, this book is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and for some reason I only have the board book, but it is a picture book. I love this book. In this story, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, they live in the town of Chew and Swallow, and rain and snow does not fall from the sky, but rather all of their meals do. So spaghetti falls from the sky, and hot dogs, and broccoli, and even their chocolate milk comes from the sky. Until one day, their storms get so bad they have to leave their town because giant food just will not stop falling from the sky. So this was turned into an animated film just a few years ago that you could share with your class. This book is a much older book, but again, the movie just came out a few years ago, and I think your students will not only enjoy the book, but they might enjoy the movie as well. This next one I know many teachers use, especially around Earth Day, and it is called The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. But this one is also an animated movie that came out a few years ago where students can read the book, and it's about how all the trees are getting chopped down and then the Lorax tries to save them all. And it's a great read aloud, especially because even though it's a kind of a fantasy world of Dr. Seuss, it has that powerful message about how we need to take care of our earth, save the trees, and how important that is. And again, you can watch the video, another one that I have not actually seen, but I've heard good things about it. But you can read the book with your students and then watch the movie as well. This next one, it was not an animated film. This has actual actors in it. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Again, I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard great things about it. Alexander, as we all have experienced, is having the worst day ever. Nothing is going his way. He gets gum stuck in his hair. He has to go to the dentist. He has to go shoe shopping and they don't have the shoes that he wants. His brothers get a toy in their cereal, but he just gets cereal in his cereal. He gets in trouble and everything is just going not Alexander's way. He wants to move to Australia. But this one was made into a movie. Again, you can read this book that came out years and years ago, and then watch the movie with your students. This next one, I have seen the movie. It's one of my favorite books. I don't love the movie. I love most of it. They added extra parts in it that I don't like. The Polar Express, one of my favorite books to read, especially at Christmas time. And I love the imagination in this book. It just is just magical to me, especially at the Christmas season, and about how the boy boards this Polar Express, this train that takes him to the North Pole, and he gets to meet Santa Claus. And it's just such a sincere book. I really love this book. And it does have an animated movie to go along with it. However, to make it longer, to make it a more extensive movie than just what's in the picture book, they added a lot to it, and there are parts that I don't like. So tell me in the comments below if you agree with me on this assessment of the movie or if it's one of your favorites. But I love the book, and it has the video to go along with it. This next one, another wonderful book. This is A Snowy Day. And in this book, the young boy is so excited to wake up and see the snow, all of his adventures that he goes on a snowy day in the city. And I believe this one is on like an Amazon Prime Video. And it's basically just the images from the book that are animated, but a great one. I don't think it's very long, so it would be a quick one to show in your classroom. Read the book, show the video, especially in the winter time when your students have their own snowy day. And these next two were turned into TV shows, and I have seen both of them, and I do love both of them. My own kids loved watching them. They are more for younger kids, but Curious George is a whole TV series. I think some of the episodes do match up with specific books, and then there are additional episodes on TV as well that you can find and share with your students. It is very similar to the book. It's a lot of fun. George's voice does get a little annoying after a while, but it's a lot of fun following George and the man with the yellow hat and all of their other friends on his crazy adventures, because George is always getting into trouble. It's a lot of fun. The series is fun to watch, so you could pick one book to read with your students and then one of the episodes to watch along with it, and they would really enjoy that. Again, like I said, some of the episodes match up with specific books, and I believe those ones are pretty accurate. They pretty much follow the book, but then there are other episodes that don't go along with the book, and those are their own story, but I do think they follow the book pretty closely. And then this last one is one of my favorites. My kids love the show. I loved watching the show with them. There are not many kids shows that I really like, but this one was one of my favorites. If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And I don't believe any of the episodes follow the book, but there are so many creative episodes that go along with this, and they're so wonderful. They're about friendship and helping each other and the animals, so pig and moose and dog and cat and mouse. They all go on their adventures, and they each have their own kid that they live with. Have a lot of fun, so the animals and the people can talk to each other. It's a lot about friendship and helping each other out and kind of learning lessons along the way. And it's just a really sweet series. And I believe it's the same illustrator. I believe Felicia Bond might do all of the images, or I don't know what they're called, animations for the show. So it looks very similar to the books, which is kind of awesome. So this is another great one to share with your students. They can watch the episodes on TV, and you can read the books as well to go along with it. So this was a little bit different, and I hope that you will be able to use some of these books and share the movies with your students in your class. It's always a great thing to do, like right before a vacation or a long weekend, or if you have a little extra time, read the book and share the movie, and you guys can discuss what's different, what's the same. And next week I'll be back with a similar episode, but I will be talking about chapter books. We'll stray a little bit away from our picture books that we usually do and talk about movies that were shared along with that. So if this video was helpful for you, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button down below, and I will be back next week with that other video about books that have been turned into movies. Have a great week.